In these days of coronavirus, a lot of churches are scared about being able to stay afloat. New research by the Barna Group shows most churches are only open to staff right now. Only a few, about 2%, are open for normal use with precautions in place. There's no question the pandemic is affecting church finances. 70% of pastors report overall giving is down. Now is David Kinnaman, president of the Barna Group, an influential Christian research organization. David, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, David, you started the Church Pulse Weekly. Explain what you hope to accomplish with that in these days of coronavirus.
Well, our attempt is to use research to help church leaders, pastors, and other Christians understand what's happening in and among churches. Obviously, we're facing unprecedented times. A major crisis. The pandemic is affecting so many different communities, and we want to help pastors to be able to understand what other pastors are experiencing, so you can actually take the church pulse and see what other churches are experiencing, how they're dealing with the crisis. And we're also giving tools to leaders to be able to understand how their people are doing financially, relationally, in terms of their jobs, mental health, spiritually. For the first time in history, church leaders can't simply look at the whites of people's eyes on Sunday morning. They've got to be able to use other tools to be able to check in. And so we're trying to do that through the Church Pulse Weekly.
You know, I know one of Barna's new surveys shows that the crisis has really affected churches in that giving is way down, but attendance is actually way up. Tell us about that.
Majority of churches said that their online attendance is equal or greater to their weekly attendance on a normal Sunday. But their giving, 4 out of 5 churches say that their giving has been declining over the last couple of weeks. So it's definitely going to be an interesting story over the month of April as churches sort of settle in for the long haul when it comes to coronavirus and sort of sheltering at home and worshiping at home.
Yeah, Easter coming up quickly here. What are you gathering from pastors on what online Easter services might look like?
Yeah, it will probably turn out to be the first digital Easter in human history, primarily delivered through digital means. Almost half of pastors say they plan to live stream their worship services. 13% say they're going to record the service beforehand. 10% are going to do outside sort of worship services and just practice safe social distance. But I think every pastor is dealing with the sense of, like, how do we do this? Obviously the church attendance is at the highest at any point in the year on Easter. Giving is very high. It's a great time to invite friends to a service. So I think one of the creative things that we can do as Christians is to think about how we can invite others to join us on Easter to worship and again, to do the kind of soul searching that this big crisis demands of all of us. Is like, where are we at with our relationship with God?
Yeah. Let's talk about the State of the Church 2020 initiative that you've started. It's a very extensive research project. Explain some of what you're finding in that particular project, David.
So Christianity is alive and well, but there is sort of a lot of declines that we've measured over the last 20 years. Prayer is slightly declined. Bible reading is slightly declined. Church attendance has declined quite a bit. Emerging generations, millennials, Generation Z, are starting their religious explorations at a place other than Christianity. So Christianity has a lot of work ahead of us. We as Christian leaders have a lot of work ahead of us to make the gospel relevant and compelling to a new generation. But the State of the Church project is meant to help Christian leaders understand our place in this changing society and what turns out to be rapidly changing context here with the coronavirus.
All right, David Kinnaman, president of the Barna Group. Great insights, great research that you're all doing. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.